Welcome to Starkville, Mississippi, where we're expecting another sellout crowd today. This was the line more than 90 minutes before first pitch of Game 2 of this series between number 1 Tennessee and number 14 Mississippi State. The Lady Vols took Game 1 of this series last night. Both starting pitchers were dynamic. They both took shutouts into the 9th inning. Sage Margetto would end up getting the win. Mackenzie Butts, the big fly in the top of the 9th, was the game-winning swing. Hello, everyone. Alongside Brittany McKinney, I'm Will Kohlmeyer. So glad to have you back on board here today. And were we not entertained last night? We had ourselves a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel.
We did. We thought we would have one, and we got one last night. One swing in the bat was the difference in extra innings, but it was such a fun old-school ball game last night. I expect more of the same today.
Yeah, Alyssa Faircloth actually got some help from her defense behind her. Some gold glove efforts by that MSU D.
Yeah, Tennessee started to really improve their at-bats as the game went along, and any momentum they started to build with runners on was shut down by Mississippi State. Here late in the game, they gunned down a runner trying to score and take the lead, but the defense with a big double play, and then just a heady play, catching Tennessee sleeping. Not something you would really expect from the number 1 team in the nation, and Mississippi State taking advantage of that last night, but it came down to one swing by Mackenzie Butt. She had great at-bats all game. This is a double that she had in the left center gap, getting momentum into the Tennessee dugout, but it was the big 3-run home run that was the difference for Tennessee, and Mackenzie Butt sends this one deep into right center field and puts Tennessee ahead in the 9th inning, and that's all Tennessee needed to seal the deal and take Game 1 of this series.
And to stay undefeated on the season. Here's the lineup that Coach Weekly turned in. You see Mackenzie Butt again in the cleanup spot. Emma Clark also had a nice game last night. She hits right behind Butt in the lineup today. She went 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. And that's the lineup that Peja Gould will face. And what a sparkling start to her MSU career. She's won 10 out of 11 decisions and an eye-popping ERA of under 1.
What a pickup for Mississippi State. We saw Alyssa Faircloth last night, and today Peja Gould, the transfer senior from Mississippi State, will take the circle and go against the Lady Vols today. She is a very special pitcher for Mississippi State. She's going to be unlike any pitcher that you see before. Last night, Faircloth, her superpower was her changeup. For Peja today, it's going to be elite spin. She can throw a curveball on both sides of the plate, has a drop ball, but she spins the ball better than I have seen in a very long time. So a lot of movement coming at Tennessee today.
So we got the pieces in place. We're ready for Game 2 of this series. And you talk about a sensational day here at the ballpark. How about the weather? Mother Nature shining brightly. A sun-splashed Saturday afternoon. Gould versus Sophia Knight. And away we go. A called strike. And that's how we start today's game. Knight, one of the top hitters in the nation, top 10 coming in, leading the SEC starting this weekend. Went 1 for 4 last night. She scored one of the 3 runs. She was on base for that 3-run shot by Mackenzie Butt. State losing Game 1 last night. Bulldogs probably looking to grab some early momentum here today.
Certainly last night they struck out the side to begin the game.
A roller to the right side. That's Romero that gets the start today in place of Gabby Schaefer, and she takes care of Sophia Knight for the first out.
This is Peja Gould's first start in SEC play. We saw the same thing with Alyssa Faircloth. Didn't seem to bother her one bit. Peja Gould getting the first out. And we should take a deep breath here.
Call strike on Ella Dodge. As we break down the numbers, the tail of the tape, if you will, you see pretty even when it comes to batting average and runs scored. State a little extra pop. Those ERAs are just phenomenal. We talked about it a bit last night on the broadcast, Brittany, and you've got 2 of the top pitching staffs, not only in the SEC, but in the country on display this weekend. Another slow roller to the right side. Abby Grace Richardson takes the solo flight, and there's 2 quick outs here in the top of the first.
You know, last night we saw a lot of strikeouts from Alyssa Faircloth. I expect to see some weak ground balls off of Peja Gould because of the way her ball moves. She's going to catch a lot of into the bats, does not get a lot of barrels, a lot of mishits from her.
Here's Gabby Leach. Both her and her sister, Alana, are in the lineup today. Alana getting the start. Gabby last night, 0 for 4 with a strikeout.
You see that movement well. I mean, that ball, that's a curveball from a righty into a lefty that starts on the outer half of the plate and just breaks all the way into the hands of the hitter.
Yeah, sometimes when I called some of her games so far this year, it's like she's throwing a frisbee. I mean, it just...
Or a wiffle ball.
A wiffle ball, yeah, totally.
Just dances.
Yes. Again, a grounder to the right side. Romero with a couple of assists here in the top of the first, and a clean 1-2-3 inning for Peja Gould. We'll check out the Bulldog batting order and tell you who they will face in the circle when we come back. First, it was an offense that only had 3 base runners last night, and 2 of those were in the bottom of the 9th. Morgan Stiles, Kiara Sells, Nadia Barbary in the top 3. Again, you see Taylor Troutman gets rewarded with a start after that solo blast last night in the bottom of the 9th. And that's the lineup that Tennessee will have in the circle. That's Maddie Rutan. Rutan gets the start today out of Columbus, Indiana, just south of Indianapolis. She's won both of her decisions so far this year. ERA just under 2.
And not a ton of experience, just 12 innings pitched on the season. Getting the ball in the start here in game 2. She's been really impactful for this team when she's not in the circle. Plays third base, 2-way player, a great hitter. But you see her scouting report right there. The changeup in any count, we've seen them back-to-back to start off this at-bat and start this game. That is her bread and butter pitch. I think it's going to be important for Mississippi State to pick a speed. She's going to throw that changeup at least 25% of the time.
Stiles slaps that one foul. Of course, Morgan Stiles, we're used to seeing her lead off for Mississippi State, and she has reached base safely in all but 2 games this year. In fact, she scored 12 times in the first inning. Look at what she does at the plate. Almost 500, 12 for 25. Leading off things in the bottom of the first this year. Or in the top of the first as well. And there's a pop-up, though. Nice job by Maddie Rutan getting Stiles to pop up in foul territory to butt.
Number 9, Kiara Sales.
So Kiara Sales coming to the plate like Stiles, went 0 for 4 last night. Sage Marjetko was terrific. Aaron Newer came in to close the door on the Bulldogs in the bottom of the 9th when Mississippi State actually had the tying run come to the plate. To no surprise, Sells in the starting lineup. She has started every game this year, as has Stiles and the young lady on deck, Nadia Barbary.
Yeah, I feel like she just missed a couple last night. Some deep fly balls high in the air.
There's a fly ball to left. That's Leach drifting toward the line, and Alana Leach takes care of Sells for the second out.
Back-to-back hitters for State have been sawed off and on the hands. It's kind of what you get when you expect a changeup. It really slows everything down for a hitter, and then Rutan able to come in hard on the hands, just not able to get your barrel out.
Nadia Barbary had one of the hits last night for the Bulldogs. One of only two. Taylor Troutman, the pinch hit solo home run in the bottom of the ninth, the other. So after a night like last night where the offense obviously was not clicking, some extra work or some extra adjustments maybe for today?
You know, I think less is more in this situation.
Okay.
I feel like last night they really got it tight in the box.
Popped up into left field, and Leach will have a couple putouts. And a clean 1-2-3 inning for Maddie Rutayan. Head into the second inning, but Clark and Leach come to the plate when we come back.
It usually comes down to one swing, and that one swing came from Mackenzie Butt in the top of the ninth. A 3-run blast was all Tennessee needed to take the game in the first game of the series for Tennessee. She is going to lead off this inning, and Mississippi State certainly has her name circled on the lineup card.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That was quite the kaboom from Mackenzie Butt. Had 2 of the hits last night. 2 of the 7, of course, the big swing was the difference in the game.
She might have been the only hitter that walked off the field last night feeling good about the day.
Yeah, the only 2 extra base hits in the game belonged to Mackenzie Butt. Deja Gould looked good in the first inning, a 1-2-3 inning. 3 very soft ground balls, just some rollers to the right side of the infield. Gould getting ahead of Butt to start the top of the second. And Tasia Gould with her first strikeout of the afternoon. Getting the dangerous cleanup hitter, Mackenzie Butt. And yes, Samantha Ricketts nodding on that one, nodding of that approval. In her 7th year as the head coach, looking for her 47th win against a ranked opponent today. And of course, earlier this year named the head coach of the American Samoan women's national team. She's had to has liked what she has seen so far out of Tasia Gould, retiring the first 4 hitters. Here's Emma Clark. Skies one on the infield. Abby Grace Richardson calling off everyone, makes the play, and there's 2 outs.
That curveball is working well for Tasia Gould right now. You can see the movement on that last pitch to Clark. She looked like she was on time, but by the time she got to her contact point, that ball had already moved to the end of the barrel.
Here's Alana Leach. Last week in game 2 against LSU is when the Leach sisters went back-to-back for the first time in their lives with back-to-back home runs.
And how cool is that? You get to play with your sister and then you get to go back-to-back. I know their parents were excited. That pitch is filthy.
Oh, filthy is a good word to describe that pitch. Leach now with a 1-1 count. Yeah, this first time. I mean, they said that they've been homered in the same game, obviously, growing up and playing together, but never back-to-back jacks. Tennessee, by the way, hit 4 home runs in game 2 last week against LSU. That's when the Tigers jumped on Tennessee 4-zip. In fact, they did that Saturday and Sunday, but Coach Weekly, she says there's no panic in her team. No lead is safe with these Tennessee Volunteers. Gould looking for her second straight clean 1-2-3 inning. This one is launched to right. It is playable as Sells makes the catch, and that will take care of the Lady Vols. We head to the bottom of the second, and just like last night, 0s to start the game. On on the UT roster, but they're just 2 of the 4. Aubrey Leach, boy, she was terrific, couple-time All-American. And then Kelsey played in 2022. And Aubrey, there you see Aubrey right there. She is currently Tennessee's Director of Player Development.
Yep. She also has her law degree and is playing professionally still for the AUSL team, the Blaze. She will be in North Carolina playing. So what a lineage of daughters for their parents.
And I like the fact, if I can include Grandma into this, their grandmother, Wilma Ann Williams-Leach, played professional baseball for the Rockford Peaches in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. Some of you that might not be familiar, but that was the movie League of Their Own with Tom Hanks and Rosie O'Donnell and the whole group. The Rockford Peaches. Talk about all in the family. Pop up. Again, Leach makes the play out in left field to take care of Morgan Bernardini. And for the first out here in the second, that's 3 straight Bulldog hitters that have flown out to Leach and left.
Yeah, and that's what they did last night, too. 13 of their outs were recorded by a fly ball. We'd like to see some kind of adjustment here coming into this game to work on getting on top of the ball, make the defense field it, throw it, catch it.
Hey, how about a tip of the cap to our producer, Kyle Apat? Coming out of that graphic, he made sure the first fly ball was hit to Leach. So that kind of continues, kind of wraps up the story there.
Man.
Yeah. I don't know how he did that, but here's Des Rivera. And you're right, time to make some early game adjustments for Mississippi State at the plate. Taylor Troutman on deck.
Because I was certainly impressed with Tennessee and their bats continuing to get better and better as the game went on. It just felt like Mississippi State was overthinking things, not swinging freely in the box. And it goes to having to prepare for 4-5 great arms for Tennessee all week long. You get all this information in your head, but once you step in the box, you've got to let your talent and your swing take over.
In fact, Samantha Ricketts kind of told us, hinted at that they had to try to simplify things because there is so much information. And remember, I don't think we touched on it last night, but the players came in on Monday early. I mean, just to try to get in those simulators. And you're right, sometimes we can complicate things. And it looks like that one got a piece of Rivera, maybe on the uniform. Rutan was wondering where that hit Rivera.
Clip that back elbow.
Yep, sure did. So the Bulldogs have their first base runner as Rivera is hit by a pitch. And here's Taylor Troutman.
Taylor Troutman.
Coach Ricketts was telling us last night that she thought Taylor Troutman might be a good matchup this weekend for her against these Tennessee pitchers, which is really quite a statement when you look at the stellar staff up there on Rocky Top that Tennessee has.
Yeah, I think if you want to take advantage of your opportunity, gets the pitch hit opportunity last night. It's a big bomb, and I think it was her first ever SEC at bat. She hits a home run, and her first ever collegiate at bat, she hit a home run.
Yeah, it's quite a story. In fact, here was the home run that we're talking about last night in the bottom of the ninth after UT took a 3-0 lead in the top of the ninth.
She was the only one really to square something up, and it's so hard to come in late in the game, especially in extra innings and pitch hit. But she was ready to go.
There's a strike called. Rutan even showing some emotion out in the circle after that strike. You see the numbers on the year for Troutman. That home run pushed her batting average just north of 350. Swing and a miss. And Rutan with her first strikeout of the afternoon.
Got ahead early on Taylor Troutman and then just elevates a little bit. That was that screwball, but it had a little bit of rise spin on it. Taylor Troutman just swings under it.
So here's Zion Romero getting the start today at second base. Was injured in the first week of the season, and Gabby Schaefer was placed into the lineup with Romero on the shelf, and Gabby Schaefer has done a wonderful job. We saw some great leather work last night by Schaefer at second. Romero's got to guard the dish here. 0-2.
Good hold and good stop by Morrison behind the plate.
Just a freshman. Catching this staff.
What this staff absolutely is. Just missed there. Rutan wanted that one. We'll take another look. A great location, 2 strikes. And great job by Morrison making it look really good behind the plate, nice and quiet with the glove.
Yeah, she did a nice job framing it, if you will. But now Romero has worked the count to her favor now, 3-2, and with 2 outs, Rivera will be off. Upstairs, ball 4. And the Bulldogs now have 2 runners on base. That didn't happen last night.
No, they didn't get a free pass last night. Sage Margeco and Aaron Newer came in. No walks in that game. Now, Mississippi State has an opportunity to take advantage of a runner in scoring position early in this game. We'll have a couple. One pinch runner. I think Coach Ricketts understanding how big this moment can be, even though we're in the bottom of the 2nd inning with a lot of ball game left. But get some extra speed out on second base. Put yourself in the best position to score the first run, because we know not a lot of runs scored in game 1.
Greta Grassel out of Boscobel, Wisconsin is your pinch runner at second. The sophomore running for Rivera.
Well, you know a little something about Wisconsin, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, her, Greta, in fact, her hometown of Boscobel, about an hour and a half where I was born and raised in Madison.
But the weather's not as nice as today there, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Is it still snowing this time?
They had some snow recently up there, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was tough. Softball, baseball, those teams in the spring playing 10, 15 games in high school, I mean, because of Mother Nature.
But you got it. I always have respect for those northern schools like Michigan State, and all the northern schools who have to spend like the first month of the season on the road, just traveling.
Well, Rutgers came and played in a tournament earlier this year here at Mississippi State, and their coach was saying, yeah, they haven't even seen the grass, they haven't seen dirt. There's a swing and a miss. Kinley Keller getting the start today. Key moment here for a freshman. She's had a nice start to her career here at Mississippi State, hitting an even 400 starting the day.
I'm just swinging under that pitch.
Keller with runners in scoring position this year, hitting .455. She's got Grassel out there in scoring position here with 2 outs. And a liner, but hooking foul down into the corner.
That was the first hitter we've seen from Mississippi State to be able to get a barrel on that changeup, even though she was well out in front. I think she recognized it better than we've seen already, but Rutan ahead, 1-2.
Keller hanging tough.
And if you're Rutan right here, 1-2 count, runner in scoring position. You've got a freshman up at the plate, throwing something in the dirt. You've got a great catcher behind there in Morrison. Let her get some work back there.
Good eye by Keller. And that'll even the count. See Greta Grassel there, bottom part of your screen. She's the runner at second, Romero at first. Fly ball, left field. Leach hardly moved. And two more putouts in the inning for Leach, and the Bulldogs strand a pair. We go to the third, still scoreless in Starkville. The best start in program history last night, improving now to 26-0, the top-ranked Lady Vols. No surprise with the top RPI rank, and 9 of those 26 have been against top 25 teams.
Yeah, they have wins over Nebraska, UCLA, Florida State in the 3-game series. They took to LSU, and they've been really dominating those top 10, top 25 wins. They put up 9 runs on Florida State, 11 on UCLA, so they're not just squeaking by and maintaining that #1 spot. They had made a statement early, especially down in that Clearwater State tournament, with all the top teams basically playing in one spot.
Yeah, that's always fun. We talk about some talent. Wind is blowing out big time to left field as Peja Gould starts this top of the third against Elsa Morrison. Maddie Rutan on deck, and then it'll be Bella Fall. 7, 8, and 9. There you see the wind blowing. It was actually gusting even more than that moments ago. And Gould now with a 1-1 count. You're a catcher, and you see that wind blowing big time out to left. Does that adjust any of your calls? Pitch selection?
You still go with your pitcher's best, right? Maybe a reminder that, hey, we have to have even more so of an emphasis of keeping the ball down. Don't let anything float up.
Will Colmeyer hanging out with the former standout in the ACC, North Carolina Tar Heel. Brittany McKinney. This broadcast being produced by Kyle Apat, directed by Adam Kilman and the rest of our SEC Network crew. Glad you're spending your Saturday afternoon with us. Game 2 of this massive matchup in the SEC. Beautiful day to go fishing. Gould was trying to see if maybe Morrison was interested, but Nelson. Oh, on the 3-2 count, it's Morrison getting plunked in the knee. And so after retiring the first 6 batters that she faced, it's Morrison to start the third.
Yeah, this pitch just got away, trying to go inside. Previous 2 pitch was a curveball that got away, so try to come back inside for a strike.
Obviously my eyes are not what they used to be. Thought I hit the knee. It was a little bit lower than the knee. Either way though, the Lady Vols have their first base runner, and here's Maddie Rutan coming to the plate. You just don't see it very often. Starting pitcher getting swings.
No, but I love it.
I know.
When I played, a lot of my pitchers were two-way players, and I think it's kind of coming back. We see a lot more than we did maybe 5 years ago. You know, you got Jordy Fromm at Nebraska and Nyjah Kennedy down at Texas Tech, both great two-way players, and now Maddie Rutan doing the same thing for Tennessee. Pitchers are athletes too.
You got a lot of folks watching that are maybe former pitchers or know a pitcher. They're nodding. Yeah, you're right. Well, right now, Gould trying to take care of Rutan, and she's got her in her favor at 1 and 2. Another outstanding crowd. There's a swing and a miss, and Gould with her second strikeout of the afternoon.
That was a great response by Gould in the circle. Goes back to that drop on the inside part of the plate that got away from her and led to the hit by pitch. Morrison, the previous batter, makes a slight adjustment. He gets the strikeout for the first out.
Here's Bella Fall, the number 9 hitter, showing bunt. Bunted through that one. Last night, Fall went 1 for 3. She was on base with that 3-run jack by Butt there in the top of the 9th. Emerus Addison, by the way, failed to mention our home plate umpire. J.C. Bartley is at first. And David Irwin is our third base umpire here today for Game 2 of this 3-game set. Gould getting ahead of these hitters. Now 0-2 the count to Fall.
I'd go back to that curveball, but even further off. The pitch was in the other batter's box. Ball still chased after it. Was able to foul it off and stay alive. Let's see how far Tasia Gould can get her to expand here.
Tasia Gould, named after former NBA All-Star Peja Stojakovic. Bounced foul. In fact, she's met Peja a couple times. Transfer from Chattanooga. Look at that. How about starting your SEC career and your top 10, in fact, top 8 in 3 key categories.
Incredible.
10 wins in 11 decisions. There's strike 3 called. Back-to-back Ks for Peja Gould.
And Peja is a great example of you don't have to throw the ball 73 miles per hour. You can focus on your spin and get hitters out at an elite level with movement. Today, all pitchers are throwing 65, and hitters are used to that. And I think we've lost the movement and the spin and the finesse of pitching, and Peja Gould does it so well. I mean, her spin rate on her curveball is 2,400, which is unheard of. So there's multiple avenues to be a successful pitcher.
Chop, one hopper. Richardson makes the play to take care of Sophia Knight. And the Lady Vols strand their first base runner of the afternoon. Richardson, who made the play, will lead off when we come back. Are 4-0. This is opening weekend of SEC play for several teams, including Mississippi State. I'll tell you one thing, when it comes to SEC softball, they spread the sugar, don't they, when it comes to all the talent? Look at all this, the wealth of talent again this year in the league.
Yeah, it's just a deep league. I mean, the top 5 teams are elite, but you go down that list and there's not a major drop-off, right? And I think that's what makes the SEC as a softball conference really good, is because their bottom half is still good. There's no major drop-offs with any team in the SEC.
No weekends where you think, okay, this is going to be automatic.
Right.
Abby Grace Richardson leading things off here in the bottom of the 3rd against Maddie Rutan. Richardson, former JUCO standout, helped lead Copiah Lincoln Community College here in Mississippi to a national title. Had some incredible numbers. Her second year here at Mississippi State, and what a difference. Last year, only a handful of at-bats. This year, a consistent starter. But this time, Richardson had nothing for Maddie Rutan as Rutan picks up her second strikeout.
3 straight pitches here up in the zone. Good late movement on that rise ball. It's Richardson to swing underneath.
Here's Morgan Stiles, who popped up to butt in foul territory to start the bottom of the 1st. Looking for her first hit of the weekend, now 0 for 5. That's dropped the average to just over 350.
This is entering my favorite part of the game, is when hitters are getting their second look at a pitcher, and we get to see what kind of adjustments that they're going to make from their first at-bat to their second at-bat. A lot of fly balls from Mississippi State today and last night.
Stiles in the short center. Knight Couple steps coming in to make that catch. Her first put out of the afternoon, and there's 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. You talked about the adjustments. Is that player to player? Is that your hitting coach? Is that the head coach?
You know, you're the one in the box, right? Your hitting coach certainly can see some tendencies or things like that, but you're the one that steps in the box. You're the one seeing the pitch out of the hand, knowing what's going through your head when you're making those decisions. And you reflect on those, and even from pitch to pitch, but certainly from at bat to at bat.
Yara Sells at the plate. 1-0 the count. Tell you what, how about this start of her campaign this year in the SEC? Look at all those top 10 rankings coming into the weekend. Lots of power. Second straight year, Brittany, she's hit double digits for home runs.
Yeah, she's definitely stepped into that power role with losing someone like Sierra Sacco to graduation last year, who was that power hitter in that leadoff spot. And Sells had her fair share of home runs last year, but it's really taken off this season.
There's a strike called. That's one thing these days with the transfer portal, but there's quite a few Mississippi State players that have stuck around, and you've seen them through the years improve.
We love to see that development each year.
Swing and a miss. A couple strikeouts in the inning for Rutan. No score as we head to the fourth here on a Saturday afternoon in Starkville. Back, another sellout crowd here at News Park in Starkville, Mississippi for game 2 of this series between #1 Tennessee and 14th ranked Mississippi State. Opening weekend of SEC play for the Bulldogs. Tennessee swept LSU in their SEC opening weekend last weekend up on Rocky Top. Peja Gould here in the top of the 4th inning, facing Dodge, Leach, that's Gabby Leach, and Mackenzie Butt, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Dodge, a redshirt sophomore, and she reaches.
Peja just trying to bury that curveball in on these lefties. She's had a lot of success doing that so far in this game. This pitch just runs a little bit too far. Started it too far in for as much movement as she has. She usually starts that pitch over the outer half of the plate and allows it to break in. That one just started a little bit too far in.
And that one got past Rivera. And now Dodge is in scoring position with nobody out. And by the way, Dodge, by getting hit by a pitch, now has extended her streak on base to 36 straight games. And Tennessee with the best scoring threat so far, with a runner in scoring position and nobody out. Bulldogs had 2 on with 2 outs back in the second. But here, the Lady Vols with nobody out. And Gabby Leach, who has been clutch this year for the Lady Vols. Peja Gould, though, has 2 strikes on her.
You see Leach turning around, talking to hitting coach Craig Snyder, hearing what he has to say in her at bat, constantly trying to figure out what's coming from Peja Gould. And I thought it was really interesting last night when we talked to Karen Wakely mid-game that she said that her players were fascinated by Faircloth and not frustrated. And I thought that was a really cool statement because they're going to have that same mindset today. Trying to solve that puzzle, that fascination of how am I going to get there, my next at bat, what can I do differently? Just having that perspective as a hitter instead of being frustrated going against talented pitchers. And they were able to figure it out, but here Peja Gould wins this battle with the drop ball on the outer half of the plate.
Brittany, you talk about a puzzle. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle facing some of these pitchers are like, hey, we're missing a couple pieces
One
here.
of those 10,000 piece puzzles, right?
Yes, I think we're missing this. Yeah, it's a tough equation to figure out. Mackenzie Butt figured it out last night finally in the top of the ninth against Alyssa Faircloth, who pitched a gem. Both those starting pitchers last night, Marjetko and Faircloth, they were masterful.
But Peja Gould had Butt in a 0-2 count in her first at bat this game and went way outside and got her to chase. See if she goes to that again. That was about what Mackenzie Butt chased in her first at bat. I mean, it was way off trying to get her there, but she's an elite hitter. She learned from that. She probably expected that to be coming.
Yes. So Gould tries to go inside, and that'll even the count.
Still nothing too good to Mackenzie Butt. She's the one player that's been seeing the ball so well with a runner in scoring position. Be careful here.
Inside, that nearly hit, but dodges the runner at second. You see her right there. 3-2 the count to the cleanup hitter, Mackenzie Butt. Swing and a miss. Peja Gould pulls the string, and that's now 5 strikeouts on the afternoon.
Watch this pitch. A changeup. Way off the plate. She hasn't thrown a ton of changeups, especially not in a 3-2 count. I don't think anybody expected that to come in that situation. We always talk about the hitters making adjustments second time through the lineup. Pitchers are also going to make those adjustments. They're going to see if the hitter's up on the plate, if they've moved in the box, and they'll have to adjust to those adjustments. I think that's what we're seeing from Peja Gould now. Another changeup. Saw a couple first time through the lineup, but now seeing it more frequently.
Emma Clark with a 1-1 count. She popped up to the first baseman Richardson. Here's Morgan Stiles slinging it over to Richardson. And a great job by Peja Gould to get out of a runner at second with nobody out. A couple strikeouts and a ground out. And we're halfway home here in Starkville.
The fans an inside look.
We got a lot of game left. We need to show that we're the most excited to play.
We have some really great minds, and we have some really big personalities.
Let's go! Let's go!
Love me some mic'd up Monday. And Brittany, I know you do as well. How about that matchup that we'll see on the SEC Network this Monday night?
A really good matchup between LSU and Texas A&M. LSU coming off from being swept last weekend by Tennessee. A&M will be their first SEC series. Both of them looking to get in the win column, but I just remember Beth Torina a couple years ago on her mic'd up Monday. She's coaching third base, and she's putting up a big stop sign for her runner late in the game, and the runner goes. Trina ends up on the ground, and just to hear her stop, stop, stop. And then they end up scoring and winning the game. Mic'd Up Monday is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, there's a lot to like with Mic'd Up Monday. Of course, it'll be later this year here in Starkville, Mississippi State in South Carolina. Maddie Rutan has put on a show so far. Facing the 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Barbary, Bernardini, and Rivera here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Nothing but zeros on the scoreboard. Through 3.5. Barbary ended the first with a fly out to Leach and left. What's impressed you the most of what you've seen out of Maddie Rutan so far, Brittany?
I think her adjustment to the zone. I think she's been early in this game a little frustrated on pitches that weren't getting called for strikes, and she's made that adjustment. And early in this game, that changeup was coming in a little high, and that's one of her best pitches that she throws a lot, and she's made that adjustment to get it down into the zone and get it called for a strike and some swing and misses.
Barbary sends one to right center field. Sophia Knight the former Bronco from Boise State, makes the play for the first out. You see the jump by Knight? I mean, it was like hit, and she was like right on it.
She's so fast. She probably could have done a 3 count. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and still been there in plenty of time.
Yeah, she is not only one of the nation's top hitters, but boy, she can glide out there in center field. Here's Bernardini, who also flew out to left, her first time up. In fact, that was when 3 straight putouts, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for Mississippi State flew out to left to Alana Leach, Gabby's twin sister. There's a strike called. 1-2 the count. Rutan, who obviously we talked about a two-way player. I guess that falls under a utility player, right?
Yeah.
You can pitch and play in the field. Quite a talent. Yet another arm for Karen Weekly. A stable full of arms. But I'll tell you what, Mississippi State, no shame with that rotation that
Absolutely.
this team has brought on. I mean, that staff, and Ricketts talked about it this week, place so much emphasis on that when it comes to recruiting. There's a fly ball to right. No problem for Gabby Leach. She finally gets a play out in right. She's seen her twin sister make all those catches in left. And there's 2 outs here for MSU in the bottom of the 4th.
Just to go back to that staff comment, Tennessee, Carlin Pickens is still day-to-day with an injury she suffered a couple weeks ago, but Karen Weekly is putting in Maddie Rutan, who's had 2 starts on the season and just 12 innings pitched to get her game 2 start.
She's making it look easy. A liner to short by Rivera ends the 4th. We got 4 innings in the book. Nothing but bagels so far here in Starkville.
Pitchers duel here today. These pitchers are showing off their versatility and different ways to strike out hitters. Rutan with a screw, a rise, and a curve for a strikeout. And on the other side, Peja Gould showing her versatility here as well. Gets butt swinging on the curveball, a drop ball in, and then the changeup for another swing and miss strikeout. Both pitchers really using their full arsenal of pitches to keep hitters off balance, and they have looked sharp through 4 complete today.
Yeah, Lady Vols have just 2 players that have reached base, as have the Bulldogs, Gould and Rutan. Now, like you mentioned, Brittany, another terrific pitchers duel. So here's Alana Leach leading things off. It's the 6, 7, and 8 hitters facing Peja Gould, who is making her team leading 17th appearance, including 11 starts. How about this? Your ERA is 2nd on the team, but it's 6th nationally. That speaks volumes to that pitching staff of Taryn Mowat-McKinney here at Mississippi State. And of course, Layla Amon threw a no-hitter earlier this week. Another pickup in the transfer portal, and all 3 of those will just continue to get better. And Taryn was telling me a couple weeks ago that she likes the fact that one's a sophomore, one's a junior, one's a senior.
Yeah, you think about last year, Raylan Chafin coming in, transfers from LSU, just 1 year with her. You just know pitching coaches love to develop pitchers and want more time with them.
That'll even the count at 2-2. When we talked about all 3 of those pitchers, definitely they are all making an impact. And there you see, of course, Silva and Rivera are transfers as well. Grounder to Stiles. To her left, that throw. Nice play by Richardson, keeping her foot on the bag, and that takes care of Alana Leach to start the 5th.
Yeah, the ball came out of Styles' hand a little funny, and as a defender, when you feel that ball kind of slip, your heart drops, but nice job by Richardson picking her up, staying on the bag.
There's Elsa Morrison, was hit by a pitch her first time up. That started the 3rd inning, but then Gould just did Peja Gould. I mean, strikeout, grounded to first, and that got her out of that jam. And then she hit the leadoff hitter Dodge last inning and went to second on a wild pitch. And then she took care of the next 3, and that's Nadia Barbary showing off her right arm to take care of Elsa Morrison for the 2nd out.
And it's just so difficult to get a barrel on a pitcher that can spin the ball like Peja Gould does. There's so much movement left to right, especially with her curveball, but then her drop ball's been on today as well.
Here's pitcher facing pitcher, Maddie Rutan facing Peja Gould. Gould got Rutan to strike out swinging back in the 3rd.
You see Rutan in the box. She has moved up in the front of the box and be trying to get ahead of some of that break from Peja Gould in the circle. And that's something as a catcher, if you recognize that, you need to make sure that your pitcher also make that adjustment with their pitches. You want to start that break a little bit sooner. The hitter's going to move up and try and catch it out in front of the plate.
Rutan, the transfer from Eastern Kentucky. She was named ASUN Pitcher and Freshman of the Year a couple years ago. 2 seasons at Eastern Kentucky, hit .350, 21 home runs, drove in an even 100. Check swing, yep. Strike 2-2 now the count.
I'd go back to that changeup. And Rutan leaning.
Swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Peja Gould. She's got 6 and counting. We head to the bottom of the 5th. Who will crack the code first? Scoreless still in Starkville. This is the first week for the RPI, and I know obviously that's a key number to keep an eye out for, Brittany, as we go deep into the season.
Yeah, it's one of those metrics the selection committee uses when they go into seeding for postseason. Top 8 get to stay home through regionals and supers. Top 16 get to host a regional, and you mentioned the crowd here. It's important to play at home and get one of those top 16 seeds. So RPI takes a lot of things into account, and it's in years past has been the primary driving force in how the selection committee seeds teams in postseason. You want the easiest road to Oklahoma City. None of them are easy, but it helps to be at home for sure.
Easier.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
Caught that.
Yes, Taylor Troutman. And look at all those years here at Mississippi State. NCAA tournament appearances, and they're poised to add another year. Trying to even this series with the #1 ranked team in the country. Taylor Troutman struck out swinging her first time up against Maddie Rutan. Troutman had the big swing last night, a pinch hit home run in the bottom of the 9th to put Mississippi State finally on the board. Only 2 hits yesterday for the Bulldogs, and they're still looking for their first today as Troutman is caught looking to start the bottom of the 5th.
That pitch did not go exactly where Rutan expected. Wanted to bury this pitch in on the hands, but it sneaks back well over the plate. I know Taylor Troutman wants that one back. Just kind of got frozen on that pitch.
Yeah, you see Taylor right there, that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Romero getting the start today at second base, coming off an injury, suffered in the first week of the season. Walked her first time up.
And she had a good at bat her first at bat, fell behind early and was able to work it back to a full count, eventually get the free pass.
Only hitting a .172 so far this year, but an on-base percentage is over 300. Got to guard the plate here at 0-2. Who's going to blink first here today?
Rattan's she's been throwing a really good mix too. She's got great stuff, but she's been working in, out, up on the hands, down in the zone, and also, you know, that changeup that she's been known to throw quite often, keeping hitters guessing.
That walk back in the second, the 6th walk that Romero has coaxed so far this year. She's 5 for 29 at the plate. That'll even the count here, 2-2 with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Second straight game. We've had a superb pitching duel between the starting pitchers. Popped up, right side of the infield, Ella Dodge. Making sure the sun doesn't get into her eyes. And that takes care of Romero, her second base counterpart for Mississippi State.
Yeah, you mentioned the sun. She's got the sunglasses on her visor right now. She may want to put those down because this time of day here at News Park, that sun really eats up the right side of the field. Did a nice job putting her hand up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sun-splashed afternoon. I mean, with clouds, and that's got to be extremely difficult for the fielders.
You know, that ball was sky high, too. Her eyes might be watering a little bit after that one. Someone might want to remind her that her shades are up top.
Look at that. Almost 80 degrees under sunny skies. Some would call it a Chamber of Commerce day here in Starkville for Game 2 of this series. And we do have a pinch hitter. That's Supan, hitting for Keller. Samantha Ricketts playing a hunch here in the bottom of the 5th. Bulldogs just looking for base runners.
We saw Ricketts go to the bench late in the game last night with a couple of different pinch hitters. Taylor Troutman being one of those that hit a solo shot. Trying to get some magic again from her bench, and she's got a lot of depth there too.
Supan looking for her first base hit as a Bulldog. She has scored 11 runs. Well, those are pinch running performances. And she gets hit by a pitch. So Supan scuttles down to first, and the Bulldogs have a base runner with 2 outs here in the 5th.
Pitch just gets away, trying to get it in on the hands. But I think we're going to have Coach Weekly come out and ask umpires if this ball was in the box, because if the ball's in the box and it hits a hitter, they do not have to make any attempt to get out of the way. If the pitch is over the plate or in the river, that space between the edge of the plate and the batter's box, and the hitter gets hit in that area, it is a ball on the batter, not awarded first base. You take a look here as she tries to start that swing. I think that ball tailed into the box, but the folks in Birmingham will get the last say.
Yeah, they get the final verdict.
Oh, maybe not.
Tennessee was about to make it official with the challenge, but now home plate umpire Maris Addison.
I think that we need to get the red flags like they have in the NFL, so we all know what's going on.
Yes.
You know.
Okay, now they've decided not to challenge.
I wonder the change of heart there.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Maybe somebody in that dugout has an iPad and they're watching our broadcast and just saw the replay that we showed you.
Somebody watching on their phone in the stands.
Yeah, or that, yes.
I don't know. I have not seen that before. I don't know.
Number 7,
Maybe a
Gabby
misunderstanding of what Coach Weekly was asking. I don't know if you could take back the review.
Yeah. She was
Let's play
unsuccessful
on.
last
Yeah,
night
yeah.
with a challenge.
Oh,
so
and, okay.
now, wait a second here. Karen Weekly.
All right.
Now she
We're
changed
gonna-
her mind.
I think we're going to have a pitching change.
Okay. Wow. All kinds of moving parts here in the bottom of the 5th.
We haven't had a lot of action offensively, so you know what? Keep us on our toes.
That's point well taken. I mean, Tennessee 0 for 15 at the plate. State is 0 for 14, and we'll tell you who the new pitcher is for the Lady Vols as Maddie Rutan's day is done here in Starkville. Coming out of the bullpen for Karen Weekly. Last night she threw 11 pitches, faced 2 batters, retired both of them, and picked up her 3rd save of the year.
And Noor's been kind of that go-to in these relief appearances. Last night came in relief on the season. She's inherited 7 runners, and none of them have come across a score this season. And you can see her scout right there. She's not going to be overpowering with velocity, but her hardest pitch is that drop down in the zone. But what she gets her swing and misses on is a rise ball up in the zone that drops a couple miles per hour, almost floats in, but super spinny, gets hitters excited to see something high and attack, but then off balance because it's slower than her other stuff.
So Noor is in, and Gabby Schaefer has picked up a bat. So Schaefer will hit for Abby Grace Richardson. Samantha Ricketts going to the bench, trying to navigate a way to score first here today against the top-ranked Lady Vols. Noor, you talk about clutch. You talked about it, Brittany. 7 runners that she has inherited, and none of them have scored.
Come in pressure situations, and I have to give credit to Karen Johns, the wonderful statistician who texted me that nugget last night.
Slow roller back to Noor, and that takes care of Schaefer and the Bulldogs as we've played 5, and as you can see, nothing to speak of offensively. Top of the 6th we go here in Starkville on a Saturday afternoon. Outstanding. Of course, now there's been a pair of pitchers for Tennessee. Still, nobody has picked up a hit. And Paisha Gould gets set to start the top of the 6th. Time for our trivia question of the day. Who became the first player in Mississippi State history to be selected in the Athletes Unlimited Softball College Draft? First Bulldog to get drafted.
You know this one well?
How far back do we have to go?
Not very far. Not very far.
Was it Madison? Before Madison? Then Madison Kennedy, now Madison Farmer.
I'll let you think on it.
All right.
I think I know it.
You think you know it?
I
Well,
feel pretty confident.
like 90%?
Like 99%.
90. Wow, that's really confident. Much more confident, that level, much higher than Cole Myers. All right, here we go. We got some changes to talk about. Bella Fall is being pinch hit here by Holly. Holly, I should say. You saw her starting last night. And she went 0 for 2 officially. There's a strike called. So now, let's see, and the Romero has re-entered, so she's at second. Bernardini, Sells, and Keller from left to right in the outfield.
Both coaches now going to their bench. So Coach Ricketts do the same thing in the bottom half of the 5th. Now Coach Weekly trying to get a spark from their dugout. That one just missed.
I mean, just missed.
Gould's been getting that call most of the game. Maybe caught our umpire by surprise.
That ball likes to move, doesn't it, when Peja Gould throws it. Swing and a miss as these pitchers continue to own the day.
Incredible pitch. Wasn't able to get that call earlier, then goes right back to it. Love it.
All right, here's your answer. Well, the question once again, who became the first player in Mississippi State history to be selected in the Athletes Unlimited Softball College Draft? What do you think?
Going Sierra Sacco. Am I right?
Davidson, Mia Davidson, second overall back in 2023. She was back on campus a couple weeks ago, watching some MSU softball. Here's the leadoff hitter, Sophia Knight. A couple ground outs against Peja Gould today. Now 1 for 6 with a run scored in the series. Came into the weekend leading the SEC in average, second in stolen bases and hits. Strike called at Boise State. I'm sorry.
I was just going to draw attention to that last pitch, the backdoor curveball that Peja Gould threw. It started probably 4 or 5 inches off the plate and broke back in.
Slow roller, going to be a tough play, and that's how Peja Gould loses her no-hitter. Sophia Knight rolls one, and I mean, she couldn't have placed it out there better if she did it just with her hand.
No, this pitch is just luck, I guess, and then the speed of Knight getting down the line, no opportunity for a play there, and as a pitcher, that is extremely frustrating, but Mississippi State needs to lock in here. Ton of speed at first base. And Tennessee likes to run behind the plate. Des Rivera's got to be on her toes, ready every pitch. Expecting that runner to go. They would love to have somebody in scoring position.
Knight is second in the SEC with 12 steals and 13 tries. And Ella Dodge fouls that one out toward the Tennessee dugout. I mentioned that I was getting ready to say that at Boise State, Sophia Knight had back-to-back 200-hit seasons. And she's on her way this year as well. What a pickup for the Lady Vols. Dodge is dangerous as well. There's a strike called. There goes the runner. The throwdown by Rivera is in time. And Des Rivera has just thrown out the second leading stolen base player in the SEC. She's now 12 out of 14.
And if you're going to throw out Sophia Knight, you have to be perfect, and Des Rivera was perfect.
And there's a roller up the middle, backhanded by Romero. Her throw is not in time, and how big of a throw by Rivera to gun down Knight as Ella Dodge reaches on an infield single.
Yeah, that could be huge. It could be proven to be huge, especially where we are in the lineup with 3, 4, 5 coming up now, but now you just have 2 outs and a runner on first base.
Gabby Leach bounces one to Romero, and that takes care of the Lady Vols. Tennessee gets the first couple hits in the game. Bulldogs looking for their first base hit when we come back. And we had a sellout last night, more of the same here today. We know for sure it's the largest regular season crowd in the history of Mississippi State softball. And what we had heard about an inning or so ago from Brian Ogden, the softball contact here at Mississippi State, that it was pushing some of that super regional crowds that we had a couple years ago. What an atmosphere.
It really is. Starkville loves their sports, coming out to celebrate this big matchup, and they have not been disappointed.
There's the base hit by Morgan Stiles, and the Bulldogs break up the no-hitter as Stiles leads off the bottom of the 6th with a hit.
And Stiles had been frustrated, certainly, with all the success she's had this season. That is her first hit in 2 games. And definitely need it now. Right? You got the top of your lineup up. This is where you want to be in the bottom of the 6th inning. Get them on, get them over, and find a way to get them in.
Here's Sells, who can give Mississippi State a 2-run cushion with 1 swing, especially if she can get one up in the air to left. Yeah, Stiles now 1 for 7 in this series. Sells looking for her first base knock. She's 0 for 6. A strikeout and a flyout so far today.
And if you're Sells, you're going against a pitcher with a rise ball, which can lead to home runs, but it's such a funky rise ball with all that spin and slow that you got to work on getting on top of the ball.
Rally cap time. And the Unicorn has made a kind of is front and center now in that Mississippi State dugout. That's upstairs.
That's a good hold. That's a pitch that, especially with 2 strikes, Newer gets a ton of swing and misses on. Wouldn't be surprised if she'd go back there again, just not quite as high here.
The screws are tightening here in Starkville. Bottom of the 6th, no score. And a 3-2 count now to Sells, who came into this weekend leading the team in batting average, slugging percentage, on base percentage, walks, and stolen bases. But it's Aaron Newer that wins that battle. And that's her first strikeout of the afternoon.
And I think Coach Weekly brought her in relief because she matches up so well with Mississippi State. We've seen all the flyouts yesterday and then some more of it today, that with that up spin.
There's a liner to left, a base hit by Nadia Barbary. And the Bulldogs have 2 on with only 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th.
You can hear the cowbells start to ring in the stands. This is the most excitement we've seen from this offense today, having a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs. Both teams brought a no-hitter to the 6th inning before either side was able to record a hit. Mississippi State now trying to do something for the first time today, which is play to run, get a runner to third base.
Yeah, get a lead. They haven't had a lead yet this weekend. Remember, in the top of the 6th, UT had a couple base hits. Rivera gunned down, though, Knight. That really changed the complexion of the top of the 6th, trying to steal. And now the Bulldogs trying to figure out a way, looking for a remedy.
A lot of conversations going on here from the coaches. They recognize the importance of this moment. Coach Weekly calling the timeout to bring her entire infield in, making sure they're positioned correctly, know what they're going to do when the ball's hit to them. Cuts and relays could be huge here. Then also Coach Ricketts having a conversation with her hitters. What are you looking for? What do we need in this situation? Something to the right side of the ball field. Cut that plate in half. Try and make it easier on yourself with your game plan and going against an elite pitcher. Something to the right side will move runners.
Bulldogs going to the bench. Pinch runner Tatum Silva, who got the start last night. She is running for Stiles out at second base, and a strike called to Morgan Bernardini, who has flown out to left and right field. So each of the Leach twin sisters have a put out on her today. And that is a squibber just foul. Or do they call it fair?
Foul ball, foul ball.
I thought it was a foul ball. And then I
just barely, though. Just barely. That jumped over the double first base in the foul side. You see here, first year with the double first base. They're clearly foul, but trying to will it fair, I guess. Hey, play till the whistle. No, there's no whistles. Don't get on me.
That's all right. No, I'm with you. I think everybody knows what you're talking about. 0-2 the count, and that's one of those fouls straight back our way, not for the net. And we'll do it again, 0-2. Silva at second, Barbary at first. We saw that unicorn earlier, a stuffed unicorn hobby horse in the Bulldog dugout this season, trying to bring the Bulldogs some luck. And that time, though, a strikeout of Bernardini and Newer. Now with 2 strikeouts in the inning.
A great mix by Newer in this at bat. Had got her swinging the previous pitch on that rise up in the zone, and then goes hard with that drop ball, 6-7 miles per hour quicker down in the zone.
So it's up to Des Rivera, and she rolls one to short. And the force at second will end the threat for Mississippi State. Bulldogs get their first 2 hits of the afternoon, but we go to the 7th. Still scoreless in Starkville. Offense, all kinds of home runs, high-scoring games. This weekend, not so, Brittany.
Yeah, everybody had an idea that these 2 great pitching staffs going together, going against each other would bring a great matchup. I'm not sure either one of us would have thought that we'd have a no-hitter into the 6th inning for both sides on day 2. I think most teams in the country would love to have either team's day 2 starter as their ace. Just the depth and the performance in the circle by both sides has been outstanding to watch and kind of refreshing.
Yes. These pitchers have been dominant so far this weekend, including Peja Gould in for her 7th inning of work, facing the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, Butt, Clark, and Alana Leach. Got to be careful with Mackenzie Butt. She had some late inning heroics last night. The 3-run blast proved to be the difference as Tennessee took game 1 in 9 innings, 3-1. So far today, Gould has had her number, a couple of strikeouts swinging. Strike called, and Gould ahead of Butt this time, 1-2.
Peja Gould got her strikeout in her first at bat on a curveball. The last at bat was the changeup. See what she goes here with a 1-2 count.
Swing and a miss. And Gould, a hat trick on Mackenzie Butt. That's now 3 strikeouts against the UT cleanup hitter.
I mean, softball's hard. Hitting the ball is hard. Mackenzie Butt last night was 2 for 3 with a double, a 3-run shot, then comes out today and 3 strikeouts. I mean, it's just it's a funny game we play.
Here's Emma Clark, who also had 2 hits last night. Butt had 2, Clark had 2. That was 4 of the 7 hits in 9 innings against MSU pitching. Knight, Dodge, and Fall had the other 3.
And I think last night we talked about the pitchers being efficient in the game. Peja Gould, just 87 pitches in the 7th, or 90 pitches into the 7th inning. She gets ahead early in counts.
Which she has again on Emma Clark.
And as a hitter, when you have a pitcher that's dynamic and you fall behind with 2 strikes, you can't just look one zone. You just have to react.
Clark hanging in there against Gould, who came just 1 out away from a perfect game against Samford earlier this month. Struck out a season high 11. Also pitched a shutout against New Mexico, looking to try to shut out these Tennessee Lady Vols, who came in. These bats have been hot for the Lady Vols, but Mississippi State pitching has done a nice job taming them for the most part.
Yeah, this is a good at-bat, though, by Emma Clark. The more pitches that you see, especially in that bat, you get to see that movement, that break. But with Peja Gould way ahead, I would send this one, like we saw against Mackenzie Butt, into the other batter's box, see if we can get her chase.
How about the difference between last year's series and this year? We had 3 run rules up there on Rocky Top in Knoxville last April. Tennessee took the series 2-1. Some tight ones with lots of late inning drama in the first 2 games of this series. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Peja Gould to start the 7th.
Now, I'm not going to say that anything has been easy against these hitters, but Clark made Peja Gould work hard for that strikeout, but a beautiful pitch. You see how difficult that ball is to hit down in the zone. That drop ball, I remember for me, the inside drop ball was so hard to get your barrel on, but add that movement, and Peja Gould gets another strikeout this inning.
Kalani Sales, by the way, is in center field now for Mississippi State. Here is Leach. Alana Leach, who is 0 for 2 against Gould today. A fly to right and then a grounder to short. Gould looking for double digits today in strikeouts. She's got 9. And a great eye there by Leach.
Great eye,
missing.
Great eye, great pitch too. 0-2 count, right where you want it. Still ahead here.
Swing and a miss. Gould strikes out the side. She's got 10 now, Brittany.
The heart of this Tennessee order comes up, and Peja Gould sits them in order. 3 strikeouts to give her team some fire going into the bottom of the 7th. Bulldogs look to walk it off.
Look what these pitching staffs have done, Brittany, in the first nearly 2 games.
It's just really been an unbelievable performance by both staffs, and we've seen them do it in a variety of ways. And Tennessee being out without Carlin Pickens, going deep in their bench with Marcheco and Newer and Rutan today, and then Mississippi State with Peja Gould, and last night Alyssa Faircloth. It's not just one ace that's been able to do it for both these teams. They've got a staff that's been showing off.
Taylor Troutman leading things off here in the bottom of the 7th. Swings and misses on her first pitch from Aaron Newer. Troutman with a couple strikeouts against Rutan. Foul ball, 0-2 quickly. Troutman was the only Bulldog to square one up last night. She barreled one out of here to left center, a pinch hit home run in the top of the 9th, or I should say bottom of the 9th, that made it 3-1. Tough pitch to foul off. Troutman hitting .538 this year when she leads off an inning. Bulldog fans would like to see her reach base. Check swing. Did she commit? Nope.
And I know this place and this team would love, it would just erupt with a home run right now, but Newar's only given up 2 home runs on the season, and we've talked about the elite teams they've played. Mississippi State, need to look to manufacture runs, just get a runner on base.
Roller to the right side. That's Clark, who is now at first base. Makes the play, or was it foul ball?
I think that was off her leg. The way Troutman reacted, I didn't see a definitive signal from anybody.
No, that's what I was looking, and that's why I hesitated.
I think Taylor knew that got her toe.
Upstairs, and that'll even the count. Newer has been lights out all season long. How about 11-0 record-wise, an ERA way under 1. Troutman, though, trying to hang tough with the sophomore right-hander.
This is a competitive at-bat from Taylor Troutman. Her first 2 at-bats went down swinging once, looking once. Really showing some good fight here.
Check swing, did she commit? No. As the home plate umpire, Amaris Addison, looked down to David Irwin.
It's a good hold by Taylor Troutman right there.
Great work by our crew, showing that angle. Fly ball center field, and Taylor Troutman has walked it off as the Bulldogs have set Tennessee down to defeat for the first time this year.
Taylor Troutman 0 for 2 on the day with 2 strikeouts, battles after falling behind, gets it back to a 3-2 count, sends a no-doubter. She knew it off the bat. Excitement is an understatement for these Bulldogs right now, who give Tennessee their first loss of the season. Take down #1 in front of a sellout crowd here in Starkville. What a moment for the freshman in her first SEC series. Taylor Troutman put herself in the starting lineup with a pinch hit home run last night. You can see the relief and excitement. The Bulldogs upset #1 at home.
Down goes #1 today. And we have evened this series at 1 apiece, and Taylor Troutman has had the 2 best swings of the weekend. State has only scored 2 runs in 2 games, but yet they've evened the series at 1 apiece.
Taylor Troutman in her first SEC series for 2 hits, 2 bombs, none bigger than the one she just hit to knock off #1 Tennessee. And well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but tomorrow is going to be incredible. The rubber match between Mississippi State and Tennessee. We've had 2 great games already. Tomorrow is going to be off the charts.
It's going to be must-watch TV. But for now, we'll put a bow on our coverage today. So for Brittany McKinney and our outstanding crew, I'm Will Kohlmeyer saying so long from Starkville. Once again, State wins it in a walk-off in the bottom of the 7th. This has been a presentation of ESPN. We thank you for watching.